Salvete omnes. Do you remember how to say the big bad wolf? Magnus lupus malus. We can just sandwich the noun between two adjectives, but adjectives change form when the gender changes. Say, the bad girl destroys the letter. Puella mala epistolam delit. We also learned the vocative declension in the last lesson. Say, come here, friend. Hic veni, amice. And what was the famous phrase of René Descartes? Cogito ergo sum. Finally, can you say the second little pig? Secundus porcus parvus. Because secundus has a double consonant, the stress comes on the second syllable. Double consonants make the preceding vowel heavy. Look at the next sentence. Servus lignum colligit. The slave collects wood. Colligit means collect and sounds very similar. Lignum can mean firewood or just wood in general. This is a second declension noun and, as you would expect, neutral, just like vinum. So the nominative, accusative, and vocative forms are all lignum. Lignin is the material that makes plants more rigid, if that helps you remember this word. A really cool suffix that we can use in Latin is eus, eus. This is similar to our suffix ius, as in gaseous, or having the characteristic of gas. But the suffix in Latin can be used to mean made of. For example, ligneus means made of wood. This is an adjective, so the feminine form would be lignea. And remember, the word for house in Latin is actually a feminine word, even though it looks and declines just like a masculine one. So how do we say a house made of wood? Domus lignea. The word for stone in Latin is lapis, but the root is really lapid. This is where we get the word lapidary in English, a person who cuts and polishes gems. So if the root is lapid, how do we say made of stone? Lapideus. Let's try to say now, the slave collects wood and builds a house made of wood. Servus lignum colligit et domum ligneam aedificat. Try now, the master lives in a house made of stone. Dominus in domo lapidea habitat. Don't worry if you don't get every declination correct on the first try. They take a long time to master. Just make sure you understand why a certain declination is used in each situation. For example, here we say domo, which is the ablative, because it is the location where the living is done. It's a static action. However, when movement is involved, we use a different declination. How do we say the mother enters the house? Mater in domum intrat. And do you remember what this means? Pater cum filio in silva ambulat. The father walks around in the forest with his son. Here the ablative is used with the two nouns because cum always triggers the ablative, and in silva is indicating the location of the movement. So even though they're moving around, their movement is located in the forest. It is confined there. Do you remember how to say, get out of the kitchen? E culina exi. This is another example where a preposition triggers the ablative, like cum. So even though movement is involved, the ablative is used. It's annoying, I know, but there are exceptions to every rule in languages. Keeping this sentence in mind, look at the next one. Servi domum e ligno aedificant. So we have the slaves build the house, but what does eligno mean? Out of wood. E kulina, out of the kitchen. E ligno, out of wood. If you're familiar with the story of the 3 little pigs, then you know this will be in this lesson's story. For the story, we also need to know a very useful adverb. The next sentence contains the word also. Tu ne quoque Romae habitas? Do you also live in Rome? The word quoque means also. And remember, Roma is kind of weird and doesn't need the preposition in because it has a locative form. Say now, I am also a student. Ego quoque discipulis sum, if you're male, and ego quoque discipula sum, if you're female. We don't necessarily need to say ego, but it adds a little bit of emphasis, like saying I'm a student too. Look at the next sentence. Habes ne liberos? This actually means, do you have children? But it refers to the children of free people, i.e., those who were not slaves. Recall that liber means free, and it's easy to see the connection to liberi in the nominative and liberos in the accusative. Answer, yes, I have a son. I have a daughter too. Ita est filium habeo, quoque filiam habeo. Remember also that the words we learned for book and free and now children are very similar. Which is which between these 2 sentences? Habes ne liberos? Habes ne libros? The first is children and the second is books. The story will be longer this time because some of it will be review. But before we begin it, try to recall what these 2 phrases meant. Nullo modo. Licet ne mihi. The first means no way, and the second, may I? Okay, let's go. Secundus porcus parvus quoque domum aedificare volat. Cavete dicit mater, et secundus porcus parvus exit. Silvam videt, et lignum colligit. Dende porcus parvus suum domum e ligno aedificat. Nunc magnus lupus malis venit, et domum ligneum videt. Lupus dicit, parve porce, licet nimihi intrare. Nullo modo, secundus porcus parvus clamat. Ergo magnus lupus malis inhalit et exhalit, et domum ligneum delet. Dende magnus lupus malis parvum porcum edit. Okay, we'll have the startling conclusion to Trēs Parvī Porcī in the next lesson. See you then. If you'd like audio downloads of each story as well as a full transcript and English translation, they're available on Patreon along with the example sentences used in each lesson. There's a link below. Gracias!